It's very rare for there to be a championship team in NBA history to go uncriticized, because when you think about it, you can make up an asterisk for almost every NBA champion ever. If a star player gets injured, then asterisk. Maybe a big time player gets ejected or suspended, and boom, asterisk, and now your rings don't count. Now for some fans and some analysts, no matter how good your playoff run was, if they sense that you had some sort of unfair advantage like a super team or the other team's not being healthy, then that's really all they need to discredit an NBA title altogether. But the truth is, you can make up a reason to downplay nearly every NBA championship that's ever been won, if you're determined enough. Now some of the criticism is fair, but not all of it is, and one of the most unfair scrutinized titles in recent memory came in 2020, when LeBron James delivered a championship to the LA Lakers. Today, we're going to expose the biggest lie ever told, and hopefully, we can convince at least some of you that at the very least, the Lakers 2020 championship doesn't deserve the asterisk that many people give them. Now, in order to do this, we need to talk about the biggest problems that people have with the NBA bubble. Okay, so right off the bat, one of the biggest reasons as to why people question the validity of the Lakers 2020 championship ring is because of the long break that they had, which lasted from March 11th of 2020 to July 29th of 2020. So they had exactly 141 days to rest. And when you hear this argument, it kind of makes sense because at this point, LeBron was 36 years old, and a long break like that will most definitely help an older player like him. Also, Anthony Davis is known for being injury prone, so that break will help him as well, and honestly, a long break like that will help anyone recover from any little nagging injury that they might have. And that right there is one reason as to why this argument is terrible, because people act like the Lakers were the only team in the NBA that got this break, when in reality, every team in the NBA had the same amount of time to rest and get recovered. Also, people act like the Lakers were having injury problems that season, when no, LeBron played in 60 of the 63 regular season games they had that year before the bubble started, Anthony Davis played in 62 of their 63 games that season, and LeBron had a real shot at winning MVP that year, so this isn't the best argument. And if you're one of those people who think that part of winning a championship is surviving the grind of a long regular season, and the fact that the Lakers didn't do that and got a break is the biggest factor as to why this ring doesn't count, then you can no longer call other championships Mickey if one of the star players in the losing team gets injured, because you then start to contradict yourself. So if the bubble doesn't count for this reason, then you can no longer argue that the Thunder's ring this year didn't count because of Halliburton's injury, or the Celtics ring the year before that didn't count because of all those injuries, or Toronto's championship in 2019 doesn't count because of KD and Klay Thompson's injury. Because by your logic, those teams that won simply just survived the grind of the long NBA season. But either way you slice it, this argument is simply invalid. When the NBA bubble was first announced, one of the most disappointing things that we had to realize was that there was going to be no fans in attendance. So whenever basketball was being played, it would be played in the empty gym. So we would actually hear the ball bounce and the shoe squeak on the court, and any other little detail that would usually be blocked out by fan noise. And the lack of fans is another argument that people make as to why this ring doesn't count, because no team in the NBA bubble had home court advantage, so the boost that the home team usually gets because of the home crowd wasn't there. They would also have an advantage because one of the most famous sayings in the NBA come postseason time is that role players play better at home. And that's kinda true, so that would be another reason as to why the lack of home court advantage was bad. And also, that means that the road players will usually not be as good on the road, so the away team will be facing a big disadvantage. So this is another good argument until you realize that the Lakers were the #1 team in the Western Conference during the regular season. So the lack of home court advantage will only hurt this team instead of helping them. And also, I don't know why we're acting like LeBron or AD would have just choked in all the away games that they played in. Especially LeBron, because beside his one bad moment in the 2011 finals, he's been elite every time he steps on the basketball court. No matter if it's a regular season, playoffs, or finals, no matter if it's home or away, nobody ever thinks to themselves, oh, this is a road game, I wonder if LeBron's going to show up. And same with AD too, he's not a guy that's known for disappearing in the playoffs. Now he may have a bad game or two, but there's never been a series that he's played in, and I thought, AD didn't show up this round. So that's another problem I have with this argument. Now you probably might be thinking that it's not LeBron or AD who would have struggled on the road, it would have been the role players, and my response to that would be, those role players actually struggled a lot in the NBA bubble, and they still won a championship, because if you remember correctly, Danny Green, Kyle Kuzma, and sometimes KCP, those dudes were getting death threats in the NBA bubble because of how bad they were playing in some games. So this is another terrible argument that people give when discrediting the Lakers. Now another argument that people give is that there are players that were playing unusually well in the NBA bubble. And my response to that would be, name me 5 players in the NBA bubble that played unusually well. And I'll start your list off. TJ Warren. Now name the rest. You can't because there weren't any. And once TJ got to the playoffs, he went back to normal. Now the Phoenix Suns played unusually well going undefeated in the bubble, so you might be able to count that one. But they would also go on to make the finals the next season, so maybe that was a sign of things to come. But also, even if players were playing unusually well in the bubble, there wasn't nobody on the Lakers that played like that. And I know you're probably thinking, Rondo, but that's not true. He played good, but he wasn't going out there dropping 30 a night or 40 or 50, but he played his role at a high level. So if nobody on the Lakers played unusually well, and it was only the players on the other team that would do that, then wouldn't that not make it harder for the Lakers to win? Now when talking about whether or not the Lakers had a Mickey ring, it's very rare that you hear people argue this for actual valid reasons. But some of the reasons that I do hear that are valid is 1, Dame got hurt in the first round, but what they failed to mention is that this was a score when he got injured. And the Lakers were already up 2-1, so I'm supposed to believe that if Dame stays healthy, then the Lakers blow a 3-1 lead. Interesting. For the second round, they said that because Daniel House wasn't able to play for the Rockets, that's why they lost, and I mean he was a solid role player, but let's not forget the Lakers didn't have one of their valuable role players in Avery Bradley who decided not to join the Lakers, so does that not cancel out? Also, even if it doesn't, do we really think that Daniel House would have been the difference maker in the series? It's almost like people forgot that the Rockets were starting 6'5" PJ Tucker at center, so I just don't buy that one. Now I don't really hear many excuses for the Denver series, but feel free to give me one. But finally for the finals, they say that Goran Dragic and Bam missing a couple games was why they lost. And what I would say to this, and there's no way to prove it so you never know, but let's be honest, before the injuries, nobody expected the Heat to win the series. I think with or without Bam and Dragic, this series goes max 6 games. Now do I believe it's the most difficult championship of all time? No, but it's far from the easiest, and the only reason why people question it is because of who won it. But anyways, that's how I feel about the Lakers 2020 championship. Let me know your thoughts about it in the comment section down below. With that being said, thank you for watching this video. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you later.